Recorded live in studio. It's Tom Skinner with a performance of Kaleidoscopic Visions, the title track from his sophomore solo album recorded under his own name. He's also the co-founder of Sons of Kemet and the co-founder of The Smile. I'm Kallao. This is World Cafe. Tom, it is so nice to meet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So I want to start with the title track because that's the first piece you wrote for the album. And you said it set the tone and approach for your sound for this record. How often does that happen where it's sort of like the first piece you write is sort of like the entree into the album?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it can happen any number of different ways. I guess you just got to kind of follow your inspiration and just follow where the music takes you.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that piece became the first piece that I wrote for this album.
Did it reveal?
I don't think I knew that when I was writing it. I was just trying to write some stuff. But then obviously, through the course of the process, that became the title song as well, which I also didn't know when I wrote it. But yeah, so I guess it's all part of the process is just sort of finding your way with things and trying to follow your intuition and wherever that may take you.
Yeah. With this record, did you go into it with I don't want to say a vision statement or a mission statement or a vision for it, or did this sort of reveal to you over time what the record was going to be?
Kind of, but I knew that I wanted to sort of dig a bit deeper in terms of my own compositions and my own sort of compositional voice. Whereas like the previous record, the Voices of Bishara record, was very much kind of derived from sort of deconstructing other people's music in a way. It's still original music, but it was kind of using other people's music as a sort of jumping off point, I guess. Whereas this time, I just wanted to try and explore my own voice even more. And I think initially I booked the session with the band and the studio in January 23. Kind of, I was like, okay, I want to do this session then. So I booked the studio, and then it got to the beginning of January, and I realized that I basically didn't have any music. So I was like, no, guys, we have to do this another time.
Got it.
And then it was a kind of process of sort of trying to find what the music was and actually write it. And so, yeah, it's an interesting process that. And actually, with this time around, a lot of the music I wrote on the guitar, which is not, obviously the drums is my first instrument, but
Sure.
I don't really play the guitar. I play the guitar, but I'm not a guitar player. I don't really know even chord shapes or anything. It's just I kind of use it. I follow my ear and I just use it to find different things that I might, that would be different to what I might play at the piano, for example.
Yeah.
Because I've always found the guitar quite a difficult instrument to kind of get my head around, whereas the piano is all laid out in front of you, and that makes perfect sense to me. Whereas the guitar, you can play the same notes in different positions and all that kind of thing. So when I look at it, I'm sort of like, I don't know what's going on here. I just, but this sounds good. So I'll just sort of work with that,
Would you say that, with composition and sort of pushing yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, working on this record, was using the guitar sort of a representative example of that?
I think what became really interesting to me was when I'd done the demos on the guitar, and I had, for some of the pieces, not all of them, but I had maybe 3 or 4 pieces that I'd demoed these ideas of just kind of layering guitar, maybe a couple of other things, bit of drums, but really they were just demos. But what was really kind of revelatory was when I then took that to the group, and these things that kind of had a certain kind of sound on the guitar sounded completely different when they were suddenly played by a cello and 2 wind instruments. That was a very exciting feeling to hear it come back at me, but with the bands.
Because you don't know when you've written it on guitar how it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me, and I felt like once I'd heard it coming back to me with the band, I was like, okay, I've got something interesting here that sounds kind of different to me. Anyway, it sounded different to anything I'd written before.
Yeah,
and kind of different to anything that's kind of out there in a way. I don't know. It
That's
sounded,
so
quite new.
awesome.
It sounded quite new to me. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Because you're not a spring chicken, so to speak. So you've probably
Oh
heard a lot
no.
of compositions. So if you can surprise yourself,
Yeah,
that's gotta be where the art, magic happens. Then
absolutely. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really cool. We're with Tom Skinner here on World Cafe. His new album is Kaleidoscopic Visions. I really dug my time with this album, and I'm sure people will tell you the first thing that jumps out to them. And if I told someone, yeah, it's a guy who's jazz drummer. This is a solo album. You might think, oh, things are going to get absolutely wild. But the first word that jumped out to me was how restrained your
Mm,
drumming is. And I guess restrained almost sounds. It's not meant to be sort of like a pejorative. It's what you've done is created this amazing vast amount of space. It feels like a big backyard with
hmm.
only a few fence posts where your musicians who join you on this record really have a lot of room to explore and experiment.
Absolutely.
And I would love to hear you talk a little bit about space and leaving that for.
Space and time, I feel like is like what this whole project is about, and what the concept of the band is about, and the writing as well. Is really what we're trying to explore. I feel, giving space to the musicians in the band, allowing them to explore their own voice within the music.
Mhm.
And I will say as well that the band is really a band. It's it's my name on the record, and
Sure.
they're my pieces, but Tom Skinner is a band, and the music wouldn't be what it is without those specific people, and it was very much written with them in mind. And we've been playing together, performing together with this particular lineup for like a good 3 years now. And we've done a fair few gigs, so it really feels like there's a great kind of synergy in the band happening, and also they're just like great people. They're like my friends, so it just feels.
That's important.
Yeah, I mean, I think those relationships are kind of like at the core of everything that I do, and so it's not just about them being ridiculous musicians, amazing musicians,
That's
which
nice.
they all are, but it's also about how we connect,
Mhm.
on a more personal level as well.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the music. Yeah.
How does that manifest when you're writing and then recording this album? Do you leave a lot of space for improvisation?
I mean, interestingly, I feel like this album, even though there is a lot of improvisation on I think less so than the previous record. It's much more kind of through composed,
Mhm.
and then there are kind of clear, considered points in the music where it can open up and certain people are featured or something. But I think those moments are very specific where they happen.
Yeah.
So whereas the first record was we did that in one day. It was like a session, and then and the music was much more sort of relying on a freer approach. Whereas this time, again with exploring my own voice, I really wanted to just dig in with the compositions, and so yeah. So I think there are some very clear spaces where people can explore and express themselves, but then it's within the framework of the compositions as well.
It really is a tale of two sides when it comes to this album, an A side, a B side, with instrumentals in the first half, and the back half features contributions from Michelle Ndegeocello, Contour, and Yafra. We'll get to Contour in a second, but I want to talk to you about Michelle.
Mm.
I know you have a long connection with her music. Can you tell me about your relationship with her stuff growing up?
I mean, it goes right back to her first record. I think my sister had a CD single of "If That's Your Boyfriend, He Wasn't Last Night." So, and I'd never heard of her before, and my sister had the CD and played it to me, and I was like, "Wow, this track's sick."
Yeah.
And then it just so happened it was around the time I went to Glastonbury Festival for the first time. I was 14 years old.
Oh man.
So I'd heard Michelle. I'm not even sure if her album was out, her first album, Plantation Lullabies, but I'd heard that track and I was into it. And then I went to Glastonbury and she was there. She was playing. I think she played on what was called the Jazz World stage back then. It's now called the West Holt stage, but she played on the Jazz World stage. So I went to see that and I was absolutely blown away. Like it was one of the the sort of craziest gigs I've ever seen, and it really stuck with me. And then she was playing again the following day on the other stage, which I think was called the NME stage maybe back then. But all my friends were off doing drugs, but I went and
Not you.
not me. No, I went to see her gig again the second time, and
Wow.
yeah, it was amazing and a fantastic band. David Fuzinski, I think that's how you say his name, on guitar. But Michelle was just, yeah, I was transfixed, and then just loved that album, listened to it constantly, just I kind of know it inside out. And then from then on I was a fan, and when she came through town I'd always go and see her gigs, and every new record that came out I was buying it.
Wow.
I was, really digging into it. So so I'd seen her play. I've seen her play so many times, and then I don't know, I guess at some point I kind of tuned out a little bit of where she was at, and I think she stopped coming to Europe as well at some point, and I wasn't really, I didn't really sort of check in with what she was doing for a little while. I was sort of got into some other things, and but then she, basically I connected with Abe Rounds, who plays drums with her, who's a fantastic musician. We sort of connected online, and they were coming through London. This was like 2022 or something like that. And I hadn't seen her play for, I don't know, but at least 10, maybe 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And he invited me down to the show, and then I got to meet her for the first time probably that night. And we hung out a bunch, and just, I don't know, like a friendship developed between us. And so whenever they'd come through town again, we'd meet up and talk and hang out. And
were you feeling like maybe now's the time to ask if she wants to join
well, I
you for a
guess
record?
I mean, then I was working on the record, and I don't know, we'd like share music with each other, just other people's music, or things we were listening to, or things that we found inspiring. I'd send her like YouTube links or whatever, and then I was working on the tracks, and I think I sent her a different song initially, like a demo version of I think of MHA actually. I didn't send it to her with a view to asking her to write anything on it, but I just sent it to her to share it with her, just to see what she thought. And she was really kind, and she really liked it. And then I was sort of listening through what we'd recorded, and that song, which became the Maxim, which was started as two very long kind of group improvisations built on two separate kind of loops that I'd made out of cutting up old material. And so I had these like two long takes, and they were kind of two parts of the same thing, but they were recorded separately, and I was sort of like, I didn't really know how to bring them together. I couldn't really see how, where this piece was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I suddenly thought, wow, it'd be really interesting to ask Michelle to write a song to it if she's into the idea. And I asked my wife, I was like, do you think I should send it to her? And she was like, yeah, definitely. So I did, and she was receptive to the idea, and that was the beginning of it. And I think what she's written to that song is fantastic. The way she has paced the vocal and the lyrics, and because I feel like I was asking quite a lot. I sent her like a 10-minute track.
Yeah, it's
not like, oh, here's
ask.
my like 3-minute song. Can you write like verse, chorus, but it wasn't like that. It was something completely different.
Yeah, it's an epic.
What she's done with it is incredible. So yeah, hopefully one day we'll get to perform it together, which hasn't happened yet. But we've been playing an instrumental version, so that's what you're going to hear now.
Before we get to that instrumental, I want people to hear Michelle's voice from the album version. It's the Maxim here on World Cafe.
They got tricks, members don't get weary. Find yourself a road, take it. And when your soul gets weary, remember your home. Remember your home.
Tom Skinner's new album, that is the Maxim, featuring Michelle and Degliocello. The new album is called Kaleidoscopic Visions. This is the World Cafe. I'm Kallao here with Tom. So obviously, Michelle, not here today. How do you approach playing a song like the Maxim live? What accounts for the vocals in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wanted to be able to perform it without her, because I feel like it's kind of like the centerpiece of the record as well.
It really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful song.
And you know, the genesis of it was an instrumental thing. So you know, I just thought there must be a way for us to represent it live. You know, so what I've done is arranged her vocal. You know, her vocal arrangement I've now arranged for the band. The two horns will play her written melody essentially. But then it's sort of now it's become a sort of a whole other piece.
It's evolved.
It's evolved again, yeah. So I think, and again, I think process. It's all about process, isn't it? It's like you never know where these things are going to take you. You know, that you never know how they're going to evolve, but you make decisions along the way, and then suddenly they become something different.
Beautiful. Let's take a listen to it. It's Tom Skinner on World Cafe with the performance of the Maxim. Recorded live here in Philadelphia, it's Tom Skinner with performance of the Maxim. It's from his new solo album, Kaleidoscopic Visions. I'm Kallao. This is World Cafe. Tom is my guest. While you were playing that song, there were it looked like some wild percussive instruments. My producer, Miguel Perez, pointed out that one of them looked like a hornet's nest. Can I ask you about
Which one
maybe...
is that? This one?
I imagine something like that. Can you talk about maybe one or two pieces? Because not only are they're different and functional, but they're beautiful as well.
Yeah, they are. They're cool. I mean, they're sort of. I'd sort of just pick them up.
Yeah, it almost seemed like
Along
during
the
the
way.
performance you were kind of shuffling.
Oh,
through
literally
them.
picking them up as I'm playing. Yeah, and putting them on the drums or putting them down again. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's always nice to have things around you that can change the sound of the drums. I think it's not, that's nothing new. Like people have been doing this stuff for many years. It's nothing original going on here, but it's nice to, I find it interesting to alter the sounds of the drums while I'm playing them, and just to try and explore all the possibilities of sound. Yeah.
So what you're saying is there isn't going to be a situation where in 5 years I come back to you in a drum kit and there's 50 different cymbals and like, are you a gear collector? Like going,
I'm a gear collector. Yeah, I definitely. But I'm not, I have a pretty modest setup.
Very much so. Yeah.
On the whole, I mean, it's depending on what I'm doing, it can change a bit. My setup with the Smile is not vastly different to this, but yeah, I'm not like a sort of gear geek, I don't think. I like the stuff that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like old drums and old cymbals because I feel like they've got character and they have history.
I love that.
I find them really interesting. I feel like there's a lot of people that, not mentioning any names or any brands or anything, but I feel like a lot of people play a lot of the same kind of stuff, like the same sound, a lot of the same sounding instruments, particularly when it comes to cymbals, because obviously like drummers, it's all about the cymbals. You carry your cymbals with you and that's kind of part of your sound, I guess.
And that's something drummers notice more so than probably average folks notice about the sound of
That's
a
definitely
cymbal.
like a drummer thing. But I feel like a lot of drummers play a lot of the same kind of cymbals. So I was sort of just wanting to also explore a different, another alternative. And I kind of got into these pasty cymbals, which are kind of a lot brighter. But I kind of like that.
It didn't occur to me until I was researching this album and looking at your past discography, and you played on one of my favorite records of the last few years, the Beth Orton album.
Oh yeah, Whether
Alive.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me then I'm like, where else have you played? And you've done a lot of non-jazz work.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious, like, being a big part of the London jazz scene over the last 20 years, was that something that you went looking for, or did those opportunities find you?
Kind of a bit of both, in a way. I feel like when I was a teenager, that's when I sort of got into jazz. I sort of fell into jazz and playing jazz, and I was obsessed. And like throughout my teen years, sort of up until my sort of early 20s, I was like, this is it. This is it. I want to be a jazz musician, and I was just like deep, just studying. In my own time with my friends, just playing, just really, really getting deep into the music. But then I kind of felt like, there's a kind of circuit that you can do around the UK that you could just do that for the
like
rest
being
of your
a touring
life.
musician.
Yeah, and you could sort of go up and down the M1 and do these like the jazz circuit gigs, and you can make a sort of semi-decent living. But at that point, especially, I just felt like it was a little, I couldn't really see, there was a kind of ceiling to it. I couldn't really see where it could go. It's like you could just do that and then what? Yeah, I think I didn't want to just restrict myself in what I was doing. So, and I wanted to earn some more money, and I wanted to like just do some interesting stuff. So there was like a concerted decision to doing more studio work and sort of branching out away from the jazz community and doing other things as well. So that was like a kind of decision that I made. And then I guess I kind of just put myself out there in that way. And then things kind of came my way. But I've always I feel very lucky in that pretty much every project or session or anything I've done, I always feel like I've enjoyed it, and that it's been. I mean, obviously, I've done things like wedding gigs and gigs
Wait,
that
what?
things that I haven't enjoyed.
A long time ago, I imagine.
Yeah, a long time ago. But
You playing a wedding gig? I mean,
you got
you got to pay the bills for sure.
Exactly. So, yeah, I feel lucky that everything I've done, I've enjoyed, and I've always tried to be true to myself. So if someone asks me to do something and I'm like, I don't really want to do that,
You say no.
I'll just say I don't want to do that.
So that is, I always joke that success is when you can actually turn something down because you're
Sure,
like.
but it's hard to say no. I mean, you've got to learn to say no.
Tom Skinner is my guest here on World Cafe. The new album is available now. It's called Kaleidoscopic Visions. We've got one more track to get to. Kari Lucas performs as Contour, and he's joining us in studio today for the performance of Logue. Was this a piece that started as an instrumental, or did you?
It was written instrumentally, but I felt like quite early on that it needed a vocal on it. I felt like it was a song. It was just sort of crying out for some lyrics, So, and Kari and I had met. We sort of connected online through Instagram or Twitter or something, and we had some mutual friends, and it just so happened that I was passing through Charleston where he was living at the time with The Smile. We went and played there, and so I invited him to the show, and we had a day off as well, so we got to hang out the day before. So yeah, we'd met each other. There was a connection. His music is amazing. I think he's a fantastic artist and performer. Yeah, so we'd made that connection, and then when I was working on the record, I mean, this was the first piece that I decided to have vocals on before Michelle and before Yaffa. It was like this. I knew this one needed some lyrics, so I reached out to him quite early on before we'd even recorded some of the other pieces, and asked him if he was interested, and he was. He was really into the idea. I think it was kind of a challenge for him. He'd not really, I think, worked on someone with someone else on a piece of music quite like that with with the band and stuff like that. A lot of his production he's done himself, and so I think he was into the idea and into the challenge of it.
Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of direction on your part? I noticed, when we were setting up, I don't want to say relish, but you seem to enjoy being band leader and sort of saying, I need this here. Like, was it fun to work with him on helping him find his place in this song?
Sure, but I mean, I didn't really do anything other than send him the track, and then he sent me back
really
the song, and I was, and it was just like perfect.
No note. Oh, that's so nice when that happened.
I mean, he sent it back, and like, well, this is amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a listen to it. Featuring Contour, here is a performance of Logue. It's Tom Skinner on World Cafe.
How many hands inside, letting the feelings slip through, picking it up and drop it again. How many ways to take inventory of all the things left behind? Part of the hands that work, keeping the records of lost minds, all the things that we can't survive. And all we know is what we know, and all we do is what we do, but why? And all we do is what we do, but why? Feet in the ground all night, souls underfoot under dark sky, carry the babies for miles. edge of the wall, skin right behind. Dawn never looked so far. Doing our best just to take hold, bringing it close as we can now. And all the eyes are in the ground, and all our lives are scattered across the sky. Thread to go through and on and on, to bond us as the patchwork tends to grow. True to form, my hand inside of yours, we claim no future to bestow, and I will dream the day, won't wait for evening to provide a sign for us. Long at last, the children place the dew inside their eyes to keep them closed. True to form, my face in front of yours, this tender moment of the song. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty high. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty high. The things we build ourselves contain the lives we've known, but now it's running out. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty high. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty tired. The things we build ourselves contain the lies we know, but now it's running out. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty tired. Horizon, call us to the place where love is found. We're getting mighty tired. The things we build ourselves contain the lies we know, but now it's running out.
Recorded live in studio here at World Cafe. It's Tom Skinner with a performance of Logue that features Contour. The new album, Kaleidoscopic Visions, is available now. The band was fantastic. We should give them their flowers. Would you mind introducing them to us today?
Sure. So the band today is, we have Chelsea Carmichael, who also plays with me in London. She plays in the band. We've been working together on this project for a good sort of 3-4 years now. She's playing tenor, sax and flute. And then we also have Ingrid Laubrock on tenor and soprano sax. We have Ishmael Ali at the cello and Chris Lightcap at the bass.
Beautiful. The new album, Kaleidoscopic Visions, is available now. Tom, this was a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming in and being here today.
Thank you. It's been great. Thanks so much.
We're back in a minute with more World Cafe.